Oh, and we're live. Hello, one. Hello, all. It's CP from We Like It Reviews. Welcome to hour 9 of the Creepy Channel Crawl. I'm joined, as always, by Emily. Oh, nope, she just dropped out. So Emily will be reinstalling whatever it is that happens.
Oh, no, the beauty quotient of the stream just dropped. Oh, and it's back up.
Yep. Emily, say hello. Are you all right? You good? You're muted.
There we go.
Yeah. We're troubleshooting. At least you're 15 feet away from me, so if something drastic happens, you're still within shouting range. And of course,
she's going to lock me in this room if there's any more problems.
And we're joined by a horror royalty as far as YouTube's concerned, the one, the only Count Jackula.
Hey! Greetings, fellow heathens. It's your boy. How you doing?
That's pretty solid intro. So I guess. Jack, I'll ask you this because I've asked Emily this. We've had this discussion quite a few times, Emily. I've asked Emma, Spooky Astronauts, Horror Gal Susan, Lindsay.
Oh, I love Susan. Horror or Mother Mayhem at this point?
Mother Mayhem, yes.
Yeah.
So, and every answer seems to be in line with what you don't expect. And I would, is it fair to say that you lean left as far as politically is concerned?
Oh God, we're gonna get into politics.
No.
Okay. Let's. All right, but to answer your question, I don't just lean to the left. I built a little house there.
Right.
I built a little house there in my late '80s, early '90s punk rock days. I got myself. I staked my ass a claim in the world of like leftist scum fuckery. I've always been a lowlife, and I've always felt that leftist politics allowed me to live comfortably as a complete fucking lowlife, without having to pretend that I like people, so I could just actually like people.
Right. Leftist politics are more about equal rights for everyone and equal this, that, the other. You're also.
It's an attempt, I feel like leftist politics are an attempt to reduce suffering, to reduce unnecessary suffering beyond that which the fickle finger of fate will just hand a person. Like, oh, you're born with no fucking jaw. Well, okay, life's going to be real hard at that point, and we can't do much about it, but we can certainly work towards making your life not suck as long as we just have the will to actually do it.
So you're a big fan of the female anatomy as well?
I'm a huge fan of female anatomy, right. and I think you mean tits and ass.
Sure.
You're in good company.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Excellent. Beautiful. Yeah. I'm not only sex positive, I am sex encouraging. And when someone says, oh, it's clothing optional, I'm like, that should be clothing tolerated, my friend. I'm going to tell you, like, we'll tolerate it, but like, hey, come on, get real. You know, you in this environment for a reason.
Yeah. So I guess the question I ask you is, what is your opinion as to why there's not there's chicks, tits, all that in horror, but why not the counterpart? Why don't we have like male eye candy?
Here's the thing. One, you are somewhat wrong about that because you are in changing times, my friend.
No, yeah, you're right.
Changing times. Very recently, there has been an ejaculation of naked dong on the screen.
Really?
As far as, oh yeah, absolutely. As far as like horror movies are concerned, like, did you see Victor Crowley?
I have not.
Oh man, like a dude fucking drops trow and presents on a table in the course of that movie really early on, and you sit there looking at this fat guy's dick and you're just like, oh geez, okay, we're looking at this for like a solid couple of minutes.
Oh, see, so you said it's a fat guy, and Greasy Strangler's another one that
I knew you were going to fucking say that.
Yeah,
Emma just brought up, but like that's like the polar opposite. That's not something you want to see in horror movies with women. It's like, oh fuck yes, and it's Friday the 13th. You see a couple of nude chicks. So
yeah, well, here's the thing. There's unfortunately, I think we have to agree that there is something about the tits and the vagina that the cock and balls simply doesn't have. A girl can look at a cock and be like, but it's not the same kind of thing that we guys do. We guys you're like, oh yeah, yeah. Don't no camera. Don't move away.
That kind of that sounds like melancholy interest. If I could describe it as anything.
Yeah. You just sort of like you're interested, but you're interested in what that would, because it leads you to the next question, which is, okay, that might work, but how would it function? How would it feel? Whereas a guy, we generally don't think that far, particularly like when it comes to female anatomy. Even when you're bisexual, the female anatomy has its own special pull that's not like male anatomy. Like male anatomy, you're wondering, is it going to work? Will it function? Will it get the job done? That's a big, but unless something is seriously wrong with a woman's breasts, they will always perform as expected. And you can have surprises when it comes to the vagina, but the variance isn't as great. You have there's a level of expectation that you can have, and so it's not it how to put it. A guy's like, she's hot, I would do her. A girl might be, well, he's hot, but does he know what he's doing? You know, now the funny thing is that is just as much of an issue on the other side of that equation, but guys don't tend to think of it that way. They don't tend to realize it until you're already, conflagrante delicto. Or at least I know I did. Like there were a few times where it was like, everything's going to be great. And then in the middle of the act, I'm like, oh, this girl's no good. This is bad. This is bad. Quick back away. Okay, I can't pull the let's just be friends maneuver. We've already had sex. This is not going to work. It actually is like a potential issue. But if we're just talking about the equality of nudity,
yeah,
I think that changes in every avenue that it can in horror, because horror always loves to be on the bleeding edge.
Yeah, well, I guess what I mean is, it seems to be that horror, at least mainstream, or the stuff that gets released to cinemas, really targets males. I mean, if you go to a horror convention, it's 80% male.
Yeah,
what do you think horror could do?
See, here's the thing. I actually disagree with that calculation.
Okay.
I think on the East Coast that might be true, but on the West Coast it is not. It is far more equitable on the West Coast. It might be like close. It might still lean heavily male, like 60-40%, but the presence of women is ubiquitous. Like you turn your head in any direction, there is going to be a girl there, and not an unattractive one. There are tons of girls who are into horror and they're highly visible. And one thing I will say is I think that horror attracts a specific type of person, and it's not the girls it tends to attract who become part of the horror movie fandom, as opposed to just go to a horror movie and like you just go and see like Paranormal Activity movies or whatever to just have a good scare, but who are real fans. They tend to be girls who appreciate the same thing that the boys do. Even if they're not getting, like, how to put it, it's a little bit different, but the number of horror chicks who have fantasies about like Pinhead, not small. Yeah. It's not small in that community. It's in fact, it's almost a requirement for entry.
Yeah, Emily, they're asking for your input on this in the chat. Being a female and all. What brought you to horror?
Interesting question. I suppose I was mainly raised on rom-coms and shitty family movies and courtroom dramas, so I'm not sure quite where I made the leap. But I found myself attracted to kind of disturbing cinema, especially in university. I was just trying to stretch the limits of my mind and my consciousness. And I don't know, there was this other thing as well that was kind of key, was this countdown of top. It was 100 Greatest Scary Moments. It was a Channel 4 thing presented by Jimmy Carr, inexplicably.
Channel 4, that's in Great Britain, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Although on YouTube you can't find it anymore. There's a Bravo list that's quite similar. And just the way they presented these snippets of the movies had me intrigued. Like the first time I saw a clip of Hellraiser, I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. What I thought I was going to get from the movie Hellraiser was a lot closer to the second movie, where you get to see the realm of the Cenobites. It just, I don't know, that's what I kind of appreciate about horror. Anything that kind of boggles my mind, I guess. I don't know if that's true for other women. I don't know if that's a
there was
thing.
There was a couple of females led by Emma in the chat that said male butts are what they appreciate.
No.
Nude in.
Oh, that's not true for you, Emily.
Well, I'm primarily interested in girls, so that kind of
okay,
skewed.
okay. I question: are you bisexual or lesbian? Technically speaking.
Interesting. If I'm bisexual, I'm kind of on the far side of the gay leaning. I don't know. I try not to put a label on it these days.
Well, you favor women, but it's not unheard of.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm the same way with men. I'm the same way with men. Like, I vastly prefer, in fact, usually the guys I really go for are real super pretty boys. And like, if you find me like a pretty boy with a nice thing who like does drag perfectly, that's going to be, we have such sights to show you, like that's when that comes out in me.
Yeah. I can appreciate that Doug Bradley does have this kind of glamour about him. I don't know quite what it is. Maybe that's what attracts women, or maybe he's a bad boy, or he needs saving, or some fucking thing. I don't know.
Well, I definitely, let me put it this way. There is something about Doug Bradley's performance in Pinhead that makes a man want to have what he has. Yeah, I know it was that way for me, and having like loved that movie so much and engrossing myself in its history and realizing everything Doug Bradley did to the Pinhead role, and you realize, oh shit, like, no, without Doug Bradley, there is no Pinhead. He's just a guy with nails in his face.
Which I thought was interesting, that Clive Barker, he could have had just any old dude put the costume on and stand there, but he chose to have actors. Yeah. And he really pretty transcendent in that role.
All the greatest Pinhead lines were ad-libs by Doug Bradley. Really? Like, including, "Oh no, tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering." Like, that was an ad-lib. And I'm just like, that is an amazing ad-lib. And in fact, many of the best lines of the original Hellraiser were ad-libbed because they were sitting there going, oh man, this looked so good on the page, but there's something that we need to take it over the top. And of course, there was Doug Bradley.
I think there was reallocation of lines too, because Chatter and Bottable, they couldn't talk. So
yeah, but one of the other things, the most famous one, is the one with Frank at the end, where he just goes, "Jesus wept," which is famously the shortest verse of the Bible. Just those two words, Jesus wept. And I remember that quite clearly, because when I was a young man in Bible school, all right, look, I'm saying that you're like, but Jackula, you're a Satanist today. And I go, that is not unrelated. But it was the one that was the easiest to remember, because it was just those two words, Jesus wept. And much like its position in the Bible, the importance of it is very much highlighted, and yet is very enigmatic. It's like he wept, but over what? You know, why does Frank say this? Why did Jesus weep? It's an unanswered question, but it's one that resonates throughout Western culture.
I don't know if it was intended in the original work, these biblical overtones.
They were actually. They were very much intended, because when you look at, I had always had the feeling when looking at Hellraiser that we were looking at a young, good Christian boy, a good British Christian boy, you know, probably maybe Catholic, maybe C of E, coming to terms with the fact that he is not only gay, he is hardcore gay. He is like, it's, you know, hardcore bondage and hardcore gay anal sex. And that's what Hellraiser is really all about, which is, oh God, I am this thing. I'm damned. I don't know what to do. And I don't know how to feel. Like, everything feels torturous, and what bliss could exist after so much torture than simply not being tortured anymore.
Are you talking about the lead Cenobite or about Frank? Because I always felt like Frank.
Oh no, I'm talking about Clive Barker.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about Clive Barker. I'm talking about the writer.
Sorry.
The homosexual like undertones of Hellraiser were absolutely there. How to put it? Shersty, to be published, that role had to be a girl's. Otherwise, you're talking about gay. Oh yeah. Otherwise, you're talking about gay things, and oh, that's not going to fly.
Yeah.
But Shersty was really supposed to be a boy named Christian, which makes the symbology of that come into really sharp relief.
Yes.
And we know that because there have been 3 major attempts to remake Hellraiser. The first one went to Pascal Laugier, who directed Martyrs. There's this weird deal where Clive Barker is allowed to select the director, but someone else who holds the rights has to have final approval. And so Clive Barker sees Martyrs and he's like, oh my God, I wonder if this guy would help me remake Hellraiser. Which, of course, like, you know, like that guy based a lot of Martyrs is based around Hellraiser. So the guy was ecstatic, and he comes up and he's just like, I want to do this. I want to do these things. And I really want to bring the torture of being a sexual deviant to the screen. I really want to do that with Hellraiser. And Clive Barker's like, you're my guy. Let's come to LA, meet, and let's have a meeting with the owner of the owner so that we can get this off the ground. All that is known is after that meeting, Pascal Laugier quit. Then Clive Barker saw Inside, you know, La Interior, and he was like, oh my God, okay, let's get these boys, you know, this director pair, and see how it goes. And he brought them in, and they were like, we love Hellraiser, Clive, but there's just one problem. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with that movie? I directed that movie. It's like, Clive, the only thing wrong with that movie is that it's not about a girl. That's about a gay dude. So we want to remake Hellraiser, but it's going to be set in the gay bondage scene of the 80s. And we want to do it hardcore, and we want to do it nasty. And we just made Inside, which has a scene of a woman cutting a baby out of another woman. Come on, man. We want to do that for gay hardcore bondage Hellraiser. And Clive Barker went, and Clive Barker went, okay, you're my guys. And once again, they had a meeting with the guy who holds the rights, and then they quit.
Who is this bastard who owns the rights?
I have no idea who this is. I have no idea, but I kind of hope it was Weinstein, so that those rights can go to somebody else and we can finally fucking get one of these movies off the ground.
Yes, that would be nice.
Yeah, but yeah, it really was all about gay repression and the torture of being gay during that period of time, and not having any actual way to express it and feeling like you are a creature of hell. That's what Hellraiser was really about. At
He's done
least
that with other French, mediums of his. It was him that was behind Nightbreed, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Nightbreed was totally about that kind of thing. You know, and I think was the movie that funny enough, it was really Nightbreed for me, and I think a lot of other people who grew up during that period of time who were like a little off kilter, who were not exactly what society liked. I think that was the movie that spoke to us the most. Because it was this beautiful idea of, oh, well, maybe if we just find the other monsters, we could create a society that we could live in and we could belong. And look at all the beautiful, dark things that could live there. Like what woman into horror movies doesn't want to be Shinasase? You know, what boy doesn't want to be Palaquin? You know, what guy doesn't think, you know, what really hyperactive guy who's got a bit of the actor in him doesn't want to be Narcisse, you know, or doesn't identify with him at the very least. Like that's one of the guys I identified with. I identified with Palaquin, but mainly I identified with Narcisse, you know. But even that whole scene where he cuts his own fucking face off. He's like, there's another face underneath this, you know, just like, I'm sitting there going, oh, geez, I know exactly what this guy's going through. You know, like Nightbreed made that shit real. And if you were like a weirdo in like the late 80s, early 90s, that fucking movie hit you in your heart because, you know, as the one woman says, to turn into an animal, to turn into smoke, to run in the night, that's not so bad. Why do you hate us so much? And you're like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You know, like, you know, you're the mother of us all. Come on, let's fucking do that. And I'm not saying the fact that the god of the Nightbreed being called Baphomet had an effect on me, but it totally did.
Jason Takes Omegle says that he liked Nightmare on Elm Street 2, but got panned hard, and he thinks the reaction to it spooked people away from male nudity in horror. Was there a lot of? I don't remember there being male nudity in Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
There is.
I remember there's an ass, there's a couple nipples, well, two.
Yeah. But like nothing. There was nothing beyond R-rated. Like you don't see a cock.
No.
Like during that period of time, unless you were Porky's the Revenge.
You do get a leather-clad sadistic PE teacher being towel whipped to death. That's
yeah. But that slipped under the radar. Nobody understood what that was about. You know, really? Like that was surprising. One of my. Yeah, well, it is because like one of my problems going into the 90s, when a lot of the allusions to the queer bondage scene became a lot more obvious and literal because people had caught on and they knew it. I was like, oh, geez, the mainstreamers now know about it. That means they're going to fucking crack down.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to be able to get away with those scenes anymore. And sure enough, we weren't able to. And that's why Lord of Illusions, the theatrical release, blows.
I've never seen either version.
Oh my God, you haven't seen Lord of Illusions, dude?
No.
You need to see the intended cut of that thing. That thing is really good because that really is about an old gay guy wanting to fuck a young gay guy and just being really upset that he's been rejected because it's not appropriate to society. Like that's what Lord of Illusion is all about. And it's also the movie that proves to me something that I had suspected up until that movie's release, which was that Clive Barker was gay. Because back in the day, he didn't make that explicit. Like this is before Imagica was published, which is probably the biggest I'm gay signpost ever. I don't know if either of you have read that book.
I have not.
No, I've read American. No, that's somebody else.
That's Neil Gaiman. That's Neil Gaiman, American Gods. But Imagica it's a sublime novel all about mysticism. But in the world of Clive Barker and Imagica, the greatest expression of mysticism is fucking another dude.
I see.
You know, and that's
assuming that you're a dude.
Yeah. And there's a whole lot of in that book. It's really interesting because it showed me something that I didn't realize was a thing. Like I knew gay people were a thing. I knew bondage was a thing. I knew fucking guys was a thing. And I could understand how a gay man would think that sex with another man was the most sublime thing on earth. What I didn't predict was that gay guys had a very particular confusion about women. Which is gay guys look at heterosexual girls and kind of do the, why aren't you letting that boy break off a piece? I mean, he seems nice. You like Dick. He seems like a nice boy. Just fuck him. I understand what the problem is, you know? You know, because gay guys don't have to deal with pregnancy. And so they're just like, and funny enough, this book actually highlighted that for me. And I was like, oh, gay guys look at heterosexual women and go, sister, I love you, but I don't get you. And so I felt like all of a sudden, because I hadn't been out about my own bisexuality at the time, despite the fact that the most sexually interesting character in that is the hermaphrodite. No joke.
Sure.
The name of that character was Pio Pa. That was my club name for about 2 years. Because I was like, okay. All right. Well, maybe if I name myself after this hermaphroditic character, both genders will want to fuck me.
It's worth a try.
It was worth a try. Can't say it didn't work. I don't know if it was the name.
Bravo.
I don't know if it was the name, but like something in that mix was definitely efficacious. But anyway, point is, I never realized that up until that point, because I was like, 17, that men, just in general, whether they were homosexual or heterosexual, just fundamentally, there was this fundamental part of experience that was female and female alone. And I looked at that and I went, oh, there's just something about the genders that we just don't get about each other. Okay. And then I began looking into why that was the case. You know, so it's a seminal book for me, Clive Barker's Imagica, and my personal awareness.
I might check it out.
Oh, it's really good. It's really beautiful and it's really good. I don't know if I'll warn you though, that book is pretty much strictly dickly. Just to warn you.
I'm prepared.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great. No, definitely check it out. It's a good novel. And so when it became clear through that book to me that Clive Barker was gay as a goose, I was like, oh shit, that's what he's talking about with Hellraiser. Not with Hellraiser. With Hellraiser, but more importantly with Nightbreed. That's what he's talking about. Even though there's a lot of heterosexuality in Nightbreed, the Nightbreed experienced the same type of torture that one would have experienced in the 80s being gay. And that opened my heart up, because now all of a sudden I felt like I understood a little bit. It was like, oh, we all feel like monsters. And that movie also, well, how to put it, I didn't realize until Nightbreed that the horror genre had a lot of very poignant things to say about being queer.
Yes.
You know, going back all the way to Bride of Frankenstein. You know, like I didn't realize at that period. I wouldn't realize until much later that James Whale was gay. The director of Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein was gay.
Do you think that, say, queer directors, filmmakers, people with a creative streak are drawn to the horror subgenre because it has this theme of characters who don't belong in society, or this?
I can't help but think of Victor Salva as you say that.
Well, don't bring up Victor Salva. Oh,
unfortunate implications.
Well, I'm even talking about Powder. Powder, the subtext.
Powder's difficult to watch now. Yeah,
it is. It's super hard. For those of you who don't know, Victor Salva is in fact a pedophile. Bam, like in as many words, but
an offending one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you're like, wow, Jeepers Creepers and Jeepers Creepers 2 seems really weird because it seems to be all about like a fucking weird monster who wants to rape a young boy. Yes, it is. But what you didn't realize is that it was semi-autobiographical, which is why I won't review a Victor Salva movie. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm sorry. Like,
I did once, but I gave the disclaimer that this wasn't going to affect my view of the film, and that there was an argument to be had about whether we condemn him or separate his work. I didn't even want to get into it. I was just like, okay, here's the movie.
I was of the opinion, me personally, I was of the opinion that pedophilia has touched my family. So I just let everyone know that and go like, no, to me, there is no forgiveness for Victor Salva. Like, he can just stay away from kids, period. And any art he is going to produce is obviously going to be about this, because every piece of art he has produced thus far has been about it.
Right.
It's separate. This is a situation where we absolutely cannot separate the artist from his work. As bad as it might be to say, at least, oh God, what's his name?
I know.
Is he an actor?
No, he's a director.
No, he's a director.
What's his name?
Okay.
Rosemary's Baby, right?
Rosemary's Baby. Yeah.
I forgot what the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
Oh, Roman Polanski. Yeah.
Yes, Roman Polanski.
Thank you. As bad as Roman Polanski is, at least his movies aren't all about raping a 13-year-old girl.
No, just an innocent woman by the devil.
Yeah, and that's enough degrees removed that I can still watch Rosemary's Baby, even with that knowledge. And even though I'll be very honest. He can't come into the country because he raped a young girl, and I'm like, well, then he has two choices. He could stay where he is, or he can come to America and do time. That's it for me. He either doesn't get to be in Hollywood or he does time.
Well, wasn't he married to Sharon Tate when he made Rosemary's Baby? Wasn't that still?
Well, at that point he was, yes.
Yeah.
Like, but the problem was that the rape happened during his marriage, but before Sharon Tate's murder.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's not like he went crazy and was just like, I just need someone to love me because Charles Manson killed my fucking wife. It wasn't that. If it was, I'd be willing to give him a little more leeway, but that ain't what happened. That ain't how it went down. So, but because he is not doing the thing that Woody Allen is currently doing, like, I was able to separate Woody Allen from his really distasteful actions up until the point he decided to make a movie about it. And at that point, I'm like, I'm sorry, if you're gonna fucking do this, I'm not cool. I'm not cool. Like,
unless the proceeds of this movie are going towards some form of reparation, then,
or something, yeah, or something at least. Like, I don't know how to put it. Like, I am of solid action, but two different minds when it comes to Woody Allen, because I can see how his adopted stepdaughter could is A, not actually blood related to him. I mean, she's Vietnamese, first of all.
Mhm.
But could be someone that he could legitimately fall in love with.
Mhm.
But that doesn't make me okay with that action in general. I would go, it might be a special case. I don't know. But on the subject, I have nothing else to say. But if he's going to do a movie about it, starring Louis C.K., I'm like, dude, now I can't separate it. Now it's too much. Like, people ask me, like, a lot of people have asked me in the past, like, where's the line between an artist and his art? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that there's some examples which are on the other side of it. One, Woody Allen's current movie, that's on the other side of it. Apocalypto, Mel Gibson's movie, that's on the other side of it. You know, because I've watched Apocalypto, and it's very strange watching a movie all about the Mayans in which white people show up at the end, because that didn't happen for 400 years. That's a pretty egregious historical inaccuracy. And the fact that the big problem with Mel Gibson is he anti-Semitic? So if you're a guy who makes Jesus films, whose father is a neo-Nazi, not even a neo-Nazi, but is a Holocaust denier, that you haven't separated yourself from, who very obviously emotionally abuses whatever woman he is married to, at that point, I can't ignore that.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think that is fair. You know, because I'm like, dude, you're asking me to overcome a lot of fucking problems here, and I'm just not willing to go that far for you. Which is too bad, because I love the Lethal Weapon movies. But I can't fucking sit here and pretend you didn't fucking get drunk and then tell two cops that Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world. Dude, I gave Michael Richards a second chance with what he said, but you're done. You're done. At least Michael Richards had the fucking decency to go, yeah, there's racism in me and I don't know what to do about it. Oh, okay. Self-awareness. That's all I want. You know, he can determine everything else on his own, but if I want to watch an episode of Seinfeld or watch UHF, I can, okay? You know?
See, I wonder what would have happened if, say, Victor Salva had made a monster that was not so problematic, and also he wasn't really the right side of iconic, I feel. He's not in the same league as...
Oh God, no, he's not in the same league as Polanski. Not at all. Not by damn sight. You know, I don't know. If he had been that great, I doubt I'd be able to look over it personally. I would just be really upset that such a horrible person made a really good movie.
Sure, but I know a lot of people in the horror community who saw Jeepers Creepers 3 out of curiosity, if nothing else. But they had bad things to say about it.
Yeah, well, it's also important to note that the horror community at large has disowned him. Go to any horror convention, Victor Salva will never appear as a guest because of several reasons. One, what he did was repugnant, and two, how to put it, the horror community has a lot of people in common with the fucking heavy metal crowd. And when the heavy metal crowd fucking hates somebody, you need to watch the fuck out. You know, because you're gonna have a crowd of people like fucking storming your fucking table, trying to put a fist in your face. That's just the way it is. You know, so, but no convention I know of, absolutely no convention in LA will have him.
Oh,
you know,
I
and
don't think
me and Guru have like talked to the heads of several conventions, and occasionally that comes up. They're like, "Oh no, not while I'm in charge."
Mm.
You know, they have disowned him. There's not even allowed to be promotion for his movies. So there was no Jeepers Creepers 3 build up at any horror convention we went to in LA. Like absolutely zero, which you would think would be something that they might do anyway, but they didn't. And they have chosen not to.
The most I ever saw were articles on the web tentatively saying, well, this better be fucking amazing then.
And it's not.
Yeah.
Really not.
Yeah.
It's really not. I haven't seen it.
No,
I didn't even see the movie.
I think other than 9/11, it was my least favorite film. 9/11 starring Charlie Sheen.
Oh shit, that's right. They did make a 9/11 movie, didn't they? Oh.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't mean 9/11 in general.
I was like, no. Like, well, the thing is the joke worked either, right?
Sure.
Yeah, not 9/11 have I seen a more offensive piece of motion
Oh dear.
Not
good at all. Not worth all the hype and all the controversy.
So I do want to ask Emily one question. Name one of your favorite horror movies.
Oh, well, I was going to say Hellraiser.
Okay.
I guess I'm quite into body horror. I was pretty impressed with The Fly, the 1980s Jeff Goldblum vehicle.
Oh, yes.
But I'm kind of fascinated with Goldblum as an actor. Anyway, he's the main reason I saw Powder. And I appreciated that. I don't know. I appreciated that it was more visceral, more technicolor than the original The Fly, and something about 80s body horror is so delightful to me. I can't explain it.
Well, it's beautifully venereal. You know, it's something we haven't been able to really do for a long time. You know, the body horror of the 80s, because like, let's face it, anytime you're doing body horror, you're talking about sex in one way or another. You know, and that's been a verboten topic for a couple of decades now. At least in American cinema. You could find it in foreign.
Yeah, with the possible exception of The Thing, I can't really read any sexual undertones into that movie.
Well, can't some of them be called metaphors for puberty?
Some of them can, yeah. Yeah, but not necessarily. She is right. The Thing stands out as an exception.
I think it is one of the best body horrors, but it's arguably the best horror movie there is. So
I would have to agree. It is one of the best. And having watched it recently, I'm like, wow, this is still an amazing film. You know, now obviously we're talking about John Carpenter's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't even know how to put it. No, that movie is tits. That's tops. You know, there's few as good and fewer better than John Carpenter's The Thing. But yeah, like the body horror of the 80s, it was as if we could just talk about disgusting things for a small period of time. You know, watching what I don't think no movie could match the horror of digestion like The fucking Fly. When
that
Jeff
was pretty delicious.
Vomits on that fucking donut and then slurps it up. Just sitting there like, oh my God.
It's kind of interesting that they go.
Nope.
Oh,
yep, we lost her.
No.
Kind of interesting that Emily. So go ahead. The Fly. Well, so she's taking longer than usual. We've discussed homosexual metaphors. Alien is pretty infamous for male and female.
That is a rape metaphor if there ever was one.
Right. Do you know of anything where it's female on male metaphors in horror?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got several of them. One of my favorite films being I Spit on Your Grave, which is very direct. That's super direct about it. There's also Teeth, which is pretty good. Some people bring up Felt, but I actually hate that movie.
Yeah, I don't like that movie either.
It's a bad movie.
They're lighting up Species in the chat.
Strangely enough, I feel like Species 2 did a better job of capturing feminine desire than the first one did, but Species 2 is also a worse movie. But it also has greater high points. I mean, watching women fucking give birth to giant maggots is just awesome.
Oh, Jason takes a make.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up before I. Oh yeah, May. That's
May. Yeah.
Emily, so while you were in transition, I scrambled and asked Jack his idea of woman on man metaphors in horror, and now you're caught up.
Lovely.
Yeah, I brought up I Spit on Your Grave because even though that's more literal than figurative, it also has that metaphorical angle to it, which is I think what makes it such a good movie.
Would Martyrs count as well? It's kind of.
Ooh, I don't know because that's not specifically woman against man. But it is woman against religion, against Christianity. So if you count Christianity as just as the patriarchy, then I think it would count. You know,
there's another movie. I can't remember the name of it. It's torture porn / rape revenge. I think it's French extremist horror.
Irreversible.
I can't remember the name of it. That's no.
Not Irreversible.
Although that's no. Although that's an interesting movie.
Oh no! No, Audition's Japanese.
Yeah, Audition.
If I remember the name of it, I'll let you know.
Spring. I don't think it's spring.
And to be totally fair, like Audition is far more about male guilt than it is about woman against the fear of woman against man.
I think it has a lot to do with what's her name? Asami. She's a woman who has been taken advantage of, abused by men her entire life. So there is a kind of revenge aspect. But...
Yeah, there's a revenge aspect, except that her target is only guilty of lying about the circumstances of meeting her. And it is his guilt over this duplicity that it doesn't draw her in, but it's what makes him not resist her. It's that's one of the reasons I really like Audition, because it's really you don't normally see a Japanese film, Japanese specifically, where it's about a male going, I deserve this just for being who I am. That's a huge male guilt movie, and I think it did beautifully.
So the chat is lighting up. Knock, knock. Daniel Hyman says knock, knock.
Ooh, that is a good one. Yeah, knock, knock.
And Emma brought up Hard Candy, which...
Whoa. Oh, shit, how did I forget that movie?
Yeah.
Have you seen Dark Candy, Emily?
I have. I've tried to show it to all my male friends. Each one has kind of crapped out after a certain point.
Oh, man. Did they at least make it to the point where they felt sorry for the fucking pedophile?
There's a couple points. Like at some point you think, you know what, Haley, maybe a bit too far. Take it easy.
Yeah. There are a few points of that, and that's because you're like, oh, geez, he's only a pet. What am I saying? Oh my God. You know, God damn it, movie, you did it. You fucked with my head. This is what I go to the cinema for. But yeah, that's another good one. The Crush is also, I think, a good one.
So,
But, yeah,
Jack,
I think
settle an argument here. Do you think
Oh.
The Crush is a stalker film?
Ultimately, yes.
Okay.
But it's a stalker film that tries to disguise itself.
Interesting.
You know, until you get to the end where you're just sort of like, oh, like it's Lolita until the last act, and the twist is Lolita is actually asking for it specifically so she can just kill this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's beautifully twisted. It was like I actually, the funny thing is I actually feel like The Crush is a bit more like a Giallo film than anything else. Oh yeah, like think about it. Compare it to like, you know, like Deep Red or Tenebrae or something like that. The whole idea is like, yeah, let's make a Giallo out of fucking Lolita, but the twist is the girl is actually trying to kill the guy. You know, she is actually trying to be the little seductress that he believes her to be, just so she can fucking murder him.
Yeah.
You know?
I never thought about that, but I guess that's right.
Yeah, it's what I always took away from that movie. Another film that I think highlights woman versus man is both The Guardian and The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Yeah. Hand that rocks the
Yeah. Like, hey, the fatherhood's a part of masculinity.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but isn't that more a woman trying to get revenge on another woman?
Kind of, except the primary method of doing that is through the husband.
I saw it as an overall taking
just fuck with the whole
of
family.
her place in the home.
Yeah, she's trying to steal a place in the home that she felt that she was owed by right, and maybe she was. But
the breastfeeding scene was honestly one of the more disturbing scenes in that. I don't know if that's just me or...
Yeah. You talking about Hand Rocks the Cradle?
Yeah.
It's... I always felt really bad for William Friedkin over that movie. Because he made The Guardian, which is almost beat for beat Hand That Rocks the Cradle, except with the supernatural woman. That movie tanks. Hand That Rocks the Cradle becomes like this fucking legendary film.
Yeah.
And I felt that really was his by right. Like, he should have been able to fucking bring that, because that's what he wanted to do. Like, halfway through The Guardian, he was like, what if we drop all the supernatural subtext and just make it about a crazy woman that thinks she deserves to be this child's mother? And they were like, no, William, you can't do that. You're the Exorcist guy.
Corey's saying that it's not strictly about the man, it's more about the woman in a single white female kind of way.
It is. That's a good point. It's a really good point. But so, well, here's the question. Are we talking about man's fear of woman or woman conquering man? Because those are slightly different.
I guess. Sorry, Emily's having issues. Oh, wait, you're here. Emily, do you want to switch places and I'll get your shit started over there? And
sure. Yeah, that's a pretty seamless way to do it.
all right, so Jack, if you can, Nurse, Danny brings up Nurse. Thoughts on Nurse?
Oh, me on Nurse?
Me? We're gonna do a little switcheroo here for a second.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
If you wanted me to talk about Nurse, I'm gonna say this: that is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Same here. I'll be right with you.
Awful. Like, and the funny thing is, I watched the last scene and I'm going, wait, this entire time you're trying to be a John Waters film? Are you fucking serious? Well, you failed big time. God. Like that fucking actress.
Yeah.
Was it Las Paz?
Yeah. This isn't strange at all.
You know what? I heard that she went on to not only blame the film for ruining her career, but like that was Weinstein as well that was involved with that. So,
well, let me put it this way: there is no doubt in my mind that Weinstein would try to fuck this girl over, just to try to fuck her. But there's also no doubt in my mind that she is so bad,
yeah,
that the movie would have tanked no matter what fucking happened.
I feel like if it had been a touch more campy, it could have worked, but
exactly, like if they had just fully embraced being this crazy,
if it had been a bit more grindhouse-ish, or even, I don't know, if the other characters had some oomph. I feel like the blonde Dani, she was kind of flavorless.
Well, I can't even remember anything she did.
No.
You know, like I think about that movie and I'm like, all I remember is the main actress being really La Paz. God,
Paz de la Huerta.
Paz de la Huerta just being really, really bad. You know, and everyone's like, and she's like, oh, I was overdubbed. And I'm like, bitch, I saw you in The Editor.
I saw her in the first series of Boardwalk Empire. She wasn't bad in that.
Okay, I haven't seen Boardwalk Empire, to be fair. So maybe she's okay in that kind of role, but
it's the same kind of slutty, kind of evil-ish character. But there it works because I don't know.
Yeah, like, well, how to put it? I felt like, having heard her actual voice in several other things, she can't really give a genuine performance and talk at the same time. She's pretty bad. And that made me crazy in Nurse 3D, because I was all up for a movie about a nurse that just killed people.
Yeah,
it's like it's a slasher, but it's a girl. You know, like,
isn't that what American Mary is about? Is she a nurse, or did I make that up?
She is a surgeon. She's not a nurse. She's a surgeon. And that movie I felt worked beautifully. You know, I mean, obviously it's got I'm drunk, so I can't remember her name.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's got the girl from Ginger Snaps in it.
Oh, okay.
She's amazing. It's got Dita Von Teese in it, who plays a very disturbing character. And I just loved how, the thing I really liked about American Mary is I felt like this was, here it was a beautiful love letter to everything, not only genre, but subculture. Because here's this woman, she's an evil surgeon. She's been screwed over by the man, you know, who wants nothing more than to just rape her at his will. And she runs into all these lowlives, these scum fucks, you know, drug dealers and fucking hitmen and murderers and all that kind of thing, who just look at her and are like, yeah, you one of us. I love the bodyguard dude that she has. You know, the guy that actually says the line, titties and shrimp.
So have you been given the link for the next part of the crawl?
I have not.
I wonder, where's this thing gone? I don't know where anything is on this. Oh, we're swapping back, are we?
Yeah, you're live.
Okay.
Oh, we're live?
Yes.
Jack, you're more than welcome to join us. We're going to swap over to Emily.
Oh, please. I mean, if you don't mind having me, like, Okay, all right. Let me grab a drink then.
Okay. All right, guys. So Emily's live. If you want to check her out, shit, I don't have the fucking Gory. Do you have the link? Gory. We're doing musical chairs over here. One more time, Emily.